Hi, I'm Erin. I'm APMP's content manager and you're watching On the Record with APMP. I'm joined today by Emily and we're going to talk about storytelling.
Hi, I'm Emily.
So when we're talking about storytelling, why does storytelling matter so much in proposals?
Well, fundamentally, data on its own doesn't change human behavior. Emotions do. And if all you have is data and facts and proof points, and you fail to wrap those up into the context of a compelling narrative, you're leaving money on the table because human beings are by nature biologically adapted to storytelling. And so when you tell a story, you actually engage much more of the reader's brain, and the information is much more memorable, up to 22 times more memorable than facts alone.
That's quite a large difference you can get with just a story.
Yeah, totally. And the reason that is because when we take in facts and information, a smaller part of our brain processes that information.
Okay.
So it's sort of like the difference between me telling you, like, I went on a walk in the snow versus, like, the snow crunched under my feet in the still, quiet air as flakes melted on my cheeks.
Right. I feel like I'm there.
That, like, lights up so much more of your brain.
Absolutely. Okay. And I suppose that is therefore very important for an evaluator reading a proposal. You want to light up as much of their brain as possible.
Yeah, you want them to remember you. The idea is to co-create a reality in which you demonstrate that you understand their problems and you hint at a better future that they want. So you're bringing them along on a journey to show how your solution will change their experience.
Okay. And that, the way you said it there sounds like a very clear story arc that you are creating when you're writing a proposal there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, a basic story structure is that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Classic.
Right? But a good story will have, first of all, the customer will be the main character of the story. Often when we write proposals, we get really excited about and obsessed with our own solutions, and we default to making ourselves the main character in the story. But people like to hear about themselves, and the evaluator is going to have a much better time reading your proposal if you make them the main character in the story. So that's Act 1. You're setting up the situation, you're introducing the main character and explaining their problems. What is their mission statement? Why do their problems matter to them? Then you'll have some sort of inciting incident, which will be like the core issue that they're facing as an organization. Then there's a second act. In the second act, there's rising tension. And that could be like talking through all of the customer's granular problems and showing how those specific elements of their challenges impact their ability to deliver the mission. And then tension rises, and at the end of the second act, you arrive at the climax. This is where the character changes in any good story. So this could be like your solution that you're selling to the customer. So you can demonstrate how your solution addresses all of their core problems and will help them to achieve their mission. And then at the end of the third act, you have the falling, or sort of the denouement of the story, where you paint a picture of what the customer's reality will be like once their core problems have been solved.
Okay. And I'm assuming this isn't just about structuring. There'll be a number of different techniques that you can use to create a compelling story throughout a proposal.
Sure.
Do you have any tips or tricks on how to integrate that into your process?
Yeah, absolutely. So one recommendation I have for proposal teams is to create a story bank.
Okay.
So, don't wait until you have the perfect story. Like, identify the stories that you have and develop them and perfect them. And then have a bank or a library of maybe 3 to 5 really great stories. Then when you have a proposal or specific bid situation, do research about that particular customer and then tailor the stories that you have to the customer and the situation at hand. That way you'll always have well-developed stories to draw from. So that's sort of an organizational tip. With respect to storytelling itself, there's a lot of different tips and tricks. One is to, use descriptive language. So
Right.
engage the senses. Pictures are processed much faster than words. So if you can actually paint a picture for the customer, they'll be able to perceive that using more of their brain. Be specific. So don't speak in generalities. Talk about a specific customer, a specific problem, and a specific solution. Have a hook. Like you have like 30 seconds to gain their attention. So you want to do something interesting at the beginning. It's okay if at the very beginning they don't know exactly where you're going, as long as you get there.
Yeah.
Keep interest. So let there be surprises. And show, don't tell. So what I mean by this is when it's sort of the difference between me saying a character has anxiety versus me showing the character biting their nails, pacing around the room, and ruminating on a problem that they have. So you want to demonstrate things through behavior and through actions rather than saying what you do. So if you have a mission statement where you say, we go above and beyond for our customers, those are just words. But if you can tell a story where you have actually gone above and beyond with specific individuals on your team, that will be much more indelible and much more convincing than the slogan.
Well, yeah, that makes sense because I suppose there's no more convincing conclusion than one that you can come to yourself.
Yes,
so
exactly.
if you're reading someone else's work and it draws you to make your own conclusion, then there's no way that can't be impactful, right?
That's exactly right, and I'm glad that you hit upon that, because when you allow the reader or the listener to make the inference themselves, they will feel much more ownership over that idea, and they will remember it better.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So they're going to be reading this proposal like you didn't even tell them you were the best. They came to that conclusion.
Exactly.
I love that. The one thing for me, and I'm sure a lot of people watching, is the idea of these proposals can sometimes be really big documents that you're putting together with a lot of moving parts, a lot of different people working on them.
Yeah.
How do you create a cohesive narrative across an entire proposal when there's so many different people involved in that process?
That's a great question. I think it starts with the pre-proposal work. So I'm a big advocate of spending as much time as you spend developing your solution, investigating who your audience is.
Right.
What does your audience care about? What is their core problem and what are they pursuing? And really work on that and analyze it thoroughly. And then you want to apply that analysis to each volume of the proposal. So you might have core win themes or identify a core story arc that you're trying to tell in the overall proposal, and you would put that with your win themes such that they apply to the entire proposal. Then when you break the proposal down into each volume or section, you want to ask the same critical questions for each section. So as we know, as proposal people, each volume might not be read by the same person. And the individuals who are reading or the boards who are reading any given volume may have different organizational needs and different points of view. So you go through that process at the beginning such that it applies to the entire proposal, and then you do it again for each volume. So you are distinguishing between who your audience is overall and who your audience is for the volume itself.
Okay.
And then, of course, you're going to identify where are the appropriate places for you to tell a story in your proposal. Definitely in the executive summary. Of course, past performance and case studies are a great opportunity. But you might also think about the management volume as well, where you tell stories about your team and what they've done. So you want to apply stories sort of differently and specifically to the given sections.
Okay, so you've got like the overarching story arc and the sort of episodes within that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about when you prepare, you have 5 or 6 stories that you identify and then you can pick from.
Yeah.
What exactly do you mean about like identifying a story?
Well, businesses have different kinds of stories. So a business might have a brand story.
Okay.
That explains their mission and who they are as a company, that is designed to resonate with their audience. You might have a hero story,
Right.
where you demonstrate how your employees have acted as heroes in various situations. You might have a horror story if you're an incumbent,
Right.
where you paint a picture of what the world will be like if Your company wasn't the vendor.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
For R&D, you might have a mystery or a science fiction type story where you paint a picture of, something new that doesn't exist yet, and then show how you might approach solving the mystery or achieving that vision.
It's so interesting because I feel like we are such story-oriented people. I mean, these evaluators will go home and watch TV stories and read books, stories. And I think it's interesting how they can be reading a story and not even realize that they're reading a story, but are internalizing the information in the same kind of way.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fundamental to who we are. There's a lot of research, and I'm not a scientist, so
Me neither, it's fine.
I am but a dilettante, but it is fascinating that we used to think we made decisions from the rational parts of our brains.
Right.
But we now know that that is not, in fact, the case. The impulse to decide first arises in the emotional parts of our brains. Right. And when that signal arrives at the cortex, we then, rationalize that impulse we already have. If we're very intellectually honest people, we may be able to rationally choose not to go with our emotional impulse. But a lot of those processes are occurring under the hood.
Right.
And it's important, in addition to engaging the listener or the evaluator's rational mind, to also engage them, at a more fundamental emotional level.
That makes a lot of sense. So if there was one thing from this topic that you would really want to drive home to the audience, like if you don't forget anything, don't forget this, what would it be?
Don't forget to tell a story in your proposal. We're all under so much pressure to answer the question, to be compliant, to be technically accurate. And those things are all very important. Your sales teams and your engineers may not understand the value of telling a story. It's one thing for me to sit up here and talk about how great storytelling is, but I will still see 10 executive summaries within the next year that are just a list of all the reasons why my company is great.
Yeah.
Talking about components of the solution, because it's the easiest thing for us to do. So we need to retrain our teams to think about centering the customer and co-creating a reality with the customer in which they can arrive at a solution to their problems.
I love co-creating a reality. That kind of seems like part of this storytelling is done in collaboration with the customer, even though they don't know it.
It should feel like that.
Yeah, they're like co-authoring the story they've never seen before.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you know anyone where every time they tell you a story, they're always the best, and the story's always about them. And just think about, how does that person make you feel in your interpersonal relationships? Yet we do that to our customers all the time.
That's so true.
So centering your customer in the narrative and making the proposal about them will always be more persuasive than writing a proposal about yourself.
And it gives that opportunity for them to feel understood as well, which I think, again, it's that emotional response you were talking about. It's always going to be more powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's a mistake to think that just because we work in technical fields and we're telling stories that are technical or professional in nature and don't feel vulnerable, that there isn't a human element involved in decision making.
Yeah, well, you're still a human even if you're working with tech.
Correct, yeah.
So obviously we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is AI. Will storytelling still matter in this era of AI?
I think so. I think as long as there is a human being involved in making the decision somewhere along the way, stories will always matter. Well, thank you very much, Emily. It was great to talk to you. You may notice in front of you on the desk there is a golden microphone with the On the Record with APMP branding on it. This is yours to take away.
I get to keep this.
You do. It's a nice little souvenir
Awesome.
from your one of our first guests here on the Record. So
thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to speak with you.